Over 20 children have died due to food contamination, which has also been linked to food poisoning. Welcome back to the Work Mzansi YouTube channel. And today I present a topic that I think has shaken the waves as a country and as a nation. To those of you who have been subscribing to our content, who've been following us on weekly, first I'd like to say thank you very much for keeping the conversation going on our respective platforms. Without any further ado, my name is of course Zondo, and let's dive into this very topic. So it all started in Soweto, a place called Naledi, where the recent case of about 6 children at the time had died due to food poisoning at the time, suspected to be food contamination, due to a product that was consumed and was bought at a Spaza shop. I think before we even press matters further than that, we need to just speak about what is a Spaza shop. I think growing up as children, this is the one place you go to buy snacks, to buy bread in the morning, to access the small things that you wouldn't necessarily want to travel far to buy. And growing up almost in every hood, every township, street, there is a Spaza shop. And these were ran by our grannies, our grandparents, our parents. And I think some of us grew up sometimes at weekends during school holidays. This would be where you sort of do your mini internship. But of late, I think we have seen a trend and perhaps a high number of our Spaza shops not now only being ran by South Africans, but other nationalities as well. And so I wanted to say, where did it all go wrong? And where did all of this actually stem from? Because if the very Spaza shops that were in our backyard are somewhat no longer owned by us, what does this mean and what does it present? Does it mean that we ran out of suppliers? Does it mean that we actually ran out of customers, that everyone wanted to go to the mall and no longer purchase guaguogo? It's questions like this that we have to first address. That we're looking at about over 150 something odd Spaza shops nationwide. We're looking at $1 billion industry, I guess untapped, without any Google ads or any smart promotions and so forth. But that's the revenue and that's the numbers. And I wondered to myself that a government that we've had all along, how is it so that the very identity and the thing that has pushed any culture, any of our townships, that we knew that as Spaza, you will get something that you want to get, whether it be bread, whatever that may be. And now we find ourselves in a situation where the various Spaza shops have become a thorn in our society. More so recently, seeing the number of cases and the number of children as well that have unfortunately lost their lives due to buying or purchasing any of these products. And this has, of course, raised many alarms in many different sectors, the health sector to be specific, as well as overall, to say, what interventions or solutions are we then going to create? Is it solemnly so that we want to blame the Spaza shop owners? Is it solemnly so that we're looking at a mere Spaza and go and say, look, you guys are actually at fault? I mean, for argument's sake, it's not to say that the Spaza shops themselves actually produce their products. Surely there's a supplier, and that supplier must go through a certain procedure before a product can be consumed. And so is it then that because there aren't any regulations that perhaps have been put all along to try and prevent this, especially if this is something that has affected our children? And so these are the surrounding questions which I think as I read through the news, as I follow, and I think even for us as a team, we ask ourselves this question. That's what we want to engage you on, to say, with the solution at hand currently, where Ramaphosa said, look, I'm going to give you guys 21 days to register. There's a fund. This will then help revive and boost all the Spaza shops nationwide. But then I think and wonder, hey, 21 days to try and solve an issue perhaps that has been pressing on for way longer than that. Was that a realistic target? Was it a target that is even addressing the issue at hand? Because it's one thing to put regulations, it's another thing to actually check each and every Spaza in terms of, well, where do you receive your products, your supplies, and so forth? And of course, as a dialogue, there has also been issues we raised to say, look, maybe it's because it's no longer our grandparents that are actually running these Spaza shops, that it's other nationalities that are now running them. Could it be then that that's where these issues are stemming from? These are all but pressing, but for me, clearly, there's a need to dig deeper into this very issue. There's a need for us to relook at what we are currently proposing. And I'd like to get your thoughts on just these very remarks at the moment. So, in one way or the other, you should know of a Spaza shop, or at least know an owner. What's the conversation been like at the moment? Is it really that, you know what, it's best that we close them? Is it best that we actually remove these Spaza shops away from the schools? But what still happens if there's another breakout in another province, in another area? What happens then? And I think maybe another pressing question is to say, will we ever get back to a point where the Spaza shops are owned by us yet again? That we may not only be giving them land or property to run, but we too can still now contribute. I'm looking at the fact that Spaza shops serve a greater part of our community. And not only that, but the very economic hub that runs each community lies on the Spaza shops being able to run efficiently. And if the propositions and interventions so far brought to us by the government is only focusing perhaps on restrictions, or in fact, maybe another question is this fund all of a sudden that is there, how will it even be distributed in as far as ensuring that each Spaza shop in different locations can actually receive? Because you can also imagine how difficult it would be to implement all of this, the processes and the measures, therefore. And is it then a solution of just saying, hey, you know what, let's just close then all these Spaza shops? But where does that push people? Where does that take everyone then? Because clearly we can't buy anything local anymore. That means we now either go to the fancy malls and the fancy or all these other places. Is that where we are going? And for me, I think as also you're running a Spaza shop, ask yourself and maybe engage with us to say, look, this is how I'm seeing it. And maybe this is how we can try and even address this very problem. And there's more to this, but I think the most important thing is, one, we want safety. We want to know that the products we consume can be good and healthy for ourselves as well as our children. And if the measures that are taken are to help achieve that, then by all means. But if it's just a measure of shutting down the very township economy, then there's another conversation we should be having. And I think from our side at least, this is all we can present to you on this very topic. I'd like to hear your thoughts, your remarks, comments, and more so that this is something that is affecting all of us in one way or the other. So please do add your comments, and I hope that we can keep this chat going. And more than anything, it's been a pleasure, I think, presenting this to you. I look forward to bringing yet another challenging or perhaps interesting topic to your screens very soon. Cheers. Thank you.